Welcome to Global Bike Buzz. When you walk up to the 2026 Honda ADV 350, it doesn't just sit there, it seems to stand ready, like it's waiting for a reason to move. The paint finishes catch light in a way that brings out the rugged contours, depending on the chosen color, be it a muted matte gray, a vibrant red, or a stealthy black. The ADV takes on a slightly different personality. From sleek city commuter to weekend adventure partner, Honda has clearly poured effort into giving it that crossover look, something that speaks both to scooter riders looking for a bit more edge and motorcycle riders who want convenience without sacrificing style. The feel of the seat is worth mentioning before you even thumb the starter. The padding is firm but not hard, and the upholstery stitching feels premium to the touch. The step-through design makes it accessible, but its proportions don't make it look dainty. This is a machine that carries a presence similar to bigger adventure bikes, just in a more compact, approachable package. The smart key fob is one of those little modern conveniences that you never realize you'll appreciate so much until you've used it. Walk up, press a button on the bars, and the ignition is lit. Twist the throttle and the 330cc engine settles into a refined idle. The vibration is minimal, just enough to remind you there's mechanical life underneath. Honda's engineers have tuned it so you get smooth, linear acceleration with no drama. In slow-moving urban environments, it's incredibly easy to balance and maneuver. The handlebar position gives great leverage, and the turning radius is forgiving, which makes threading through traffic effortless. The windshield, even at its lower setting, cuts wind blasts well, and at higher settings, it turns long rides into something you can genuinely look forward to. Rolling onto a faster stretch of road, the ADV 350 starts to show its versatility. Acceleration from 0 to 60 km/h is brisk, perfect for city takeoffs, and the transition to 80 or even 100 km/h feels natural and no struggling, no hunting for power. The CVT just keeps delivering without interruption. Stability at speed is impressive even with crosswinds. The chassis stays planted. The suspension works with a bit of firmness on smooth tarmac, giving confidence in corners, yet it soaks up imperfections and speed bumps with ease. If you decide to take a detour onto a gravel lane or a rural path, it doesn't flinch. The combination of block pattern tires and that longer travel suspension lets it glide over light bumps without shaking your confidence. Braking is handled by a front 256mm disc and a rear 240mm disc, paired with 2-channel ABS. The feel at the lever is progressive rather than abrupt, which makes it predictable and easy to modulate. In emergency stops, the bike stays composed, and the emergency stop signal flashes the hazards automatically to warn following traffic. One of those safety features you hope you never need but are glad to have. The LCD display is crisp and modern, with a layout that feels inspired by Honda's bigger adventure models. You can connect your smartphone via the Honda Road Sync app, giving you access to navigation prompts, music control, and call notifications right there on the dash. It's not just a scooter for getting from A to B, it's a scooter designed to make the journey engaging. The glove box's USB-C port is placed thoughtfully so you can keep a phone charging while tucked away safely. And the underseat storage remains a highlight. A fitting 2 full-face helmets means you don't need to carry gear around every time you park. There's a subtle sense of adventure baked into the DNA of this machine. Maybe it's the stance, maybe it's the suspension travel, maybe it's just knowing it can handle more than most scooters, but every time you pass an unpaved path, there's that little voice saying, "Go on, see where it leads." And if you do, the bike answers that call without hesitation. Loose gravel, uneven asphalt, even light trails, the ADV 350 takes them in stride. The tires biting just enough to keep you confident, and the suspension smoothing out the chatter beneath you. You start noticing the little touches Honda has built in. The textured footboards give solid grip when you're standing briefly on rough patches. The mirrors are wide enough to see past your shoulders without distortion. The lighting isn't just bright, it's crisp, with a beam pattern that seems purpose-designed to light not just what's ahead, but what you need to see at the edges of your vision during night rides. These are details that make the riding experience feel considered, not just manufactured. On the longer trip, you begin to appreciate the fuel efficiency more and more. Watching the range indicator tick down slowly means fewer fuel stops and more uninterrupted riding. And when you do stop, the conversations start up. People want to know what it is. Is it a motorcycle, a scooter, something in between? That's part of its charm. It doesn't fit neatly into one category, which means it appeals to a wider range of riders. Commuters see it as a luxurious, capable workhorse. Weekend explorers see it as a fun, agile adventure companion. Riding in different weather conditions adds another layer to its versatility. On clear, dry roads, it's planted and responsive. In light rain, the ABS and traction control work quietly in the background, never intruding unless you need them. The windscreen does a decent job of deflecting spray and wind, and the seat's material doesn't turn slick when wet, which is a relief during sudden downpours. You get the sense that this bike was tested in real-world conditions, not just on a sunny test track. The sound of the engine becomes part of the ride's rhythm. At idle, it's a low, calm thrum. Open it up and it hums with a smooth urgency, not the high-pitched whine of some smaller scooters, but a mature, measured tone that hints at its extra displacement. It's the kind of sound that doesn't get tiring on long rides, which matters more than you might think when you're covering miles. After spending time with it, you start to realize that the Adverb 350 is as much about how it makes you feel as it is about what it can do. There's a certain peace in knowing you have a machine that will start every morning without complaint, carry you through traffic without stress, and still have the legs to turn a quick detour into an impromptu adventure. That reliability is almost invisible in day-to-day riding, but it becomes priceless when you need it. In the evenings, when the sun is low and the streets are glowing in warm light, the Adverb 350 just looks right. Parked outside a cafe. Copyright, leaning on its stand, or waiting at a quiet intersection, the LED accents give it a modern signature, and the bodywork's lines catch those golden reflections. It's a bike that somehow manages to look purposeful and stylish at the same time, and that's a rare balance to strike. Living with the Adverb 350 day-to-day feels like having a bike that adapts to whatever you need it to be. On work days, it's an agile commuter with fuel economy that keeps the cost of ownership low. On weekends, it can stretch its legs and let you explore without feeling underpowered or out of place on larger roads. Maintenance intervals are generous, and Honda's reputation for reliability gives peace of mind that this is a machine that will keep going year after year. Pricing will vary depending on your market and options, but considering its build quality, features, and performance, it punches above its weight and value. While some might see the initial cost as slightly higher than smaller scooters, the Adverb 350 makes up for it in capability and comfort. It's not just a purchase, it feels like a long-term partner for all sorts of rides. Closing your visor after a stop and heading out again, you're reminded that this isn't just about specs or features, it's about the feeling, the wind over the shield, the effortless roll-on of the throttle, the way it seems to shrink the city and stretch the countryside, all wrapped up in Honda's careful engineering. The 2026 Honda